Good morning, peace and blessings, everybody, and welcome to another Mission Minded Monday here with me, Asia Nasir, founder of Utopian Enterprise Business Solutions and author. Where my mission here at Utopian is to help, nonprofits, whether you're aspiring or you're an existing nonprofit, to be able to fulfill your missions in real time. And our Mission Minded Mondays every other Monday is to help you do exactly that, to be able to help you to really strategize how you're going to be able to take your organization from, a vision to actually creating impact. And so everything this quarter, this Mission Minded Monday, is all about helping you to be able to get from point A to point B and to be sustainable within your programs and the services that you offer, and to service the community that you're wishing to serve. So welcome back. As I mentioned before, welcome back to a Mission Minded Monday. I just want to start off before we get into our topic for today. I just want to say thank you so much for those of you who continue to follow, who continue to support our Mission Minded Monday here. I was on a little hiatus for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons being that we were in the month of Ramadan last month, and so I took some time off to, pour into myself from a spiritual perspective. But then also, I have not been well as far as health wise, and I've been, going to the doctors, trying to take care of myself and replenish. So that way I can come back and be fully, engaged with you, being able to answer your questions and, being able to be intentional with the work that I'm doing with you as well. So enough about that. Let's get right into the topic today, which is, if you notice right here in the banner, from motion to momentum, the second quarter growth audit every nonprofit needs. So let's say that one more time. From motion to momentum, the second quarter growth audit every nonprofit needs. And it's really important because every year, every nonprofit has new ideas, new programs, new services that you want to provide to your community that you think is better than, last time. And you want to ensure that, what, yeah, this is, doing what we want it to do. We're providing, enhanced programs or services or whatever it is. And typically that starts in January. It's a new year. You're feeling excited about what you're offering and everything. However, some of those ideas don't always land the way we want them to. So we have to, like, you know, if you're in your second quarter, which is now, we are in the second quarter of 2026. If you're in the second quarter and you're noticing that the programs that you develop, these new programs or even existing programs, are not measuring, real impact. It's not having the impact that you want it to have. Or if you're securing small wins, but they're lacking like long-term strategy. It's not getting you to that long-term goal, but you have these small wins, but they're not taking you to the next level. Or if you're just moving really fast and you don't really have clear direction, you're just moving, you're in motion, like it says, you're in motion, but there's really no clear vision. You're like, okay, we're putting on this right now, we're putting on that right now, but you don't have a calendar of events, you don't have a calendar of fundraisers, you don't have a calendar of, programs that you're looking to do. You're just kind of winging it. And I will say this, you can't wing a nonprofit. You can't wing long-term impact, and you cannot wing putting on programs and services. This is something that you have to be very intentional, and you have to be very purposeful in how you're going to go about doing that. And it's really important because it shows. You can tell when there's a nonprofit that has a strategy behind it. They have their annual this, they have their quarterly this, they have their ongoing programs. They go from one program to the next program to the next program, but there is a calendar of programs, and they can let you know, we're filled up this time, but our next round will be around May, or our next round of this program is coming up in the summer. There's a calendar of events, so that way they're very intentional about how they're moving, what they're doing, so that way there is some strategy, some, you can assess, is this working, is this not working, right? So if this is you where you're moving but there's no momentum, If you're moving and there's real no direction, if you're getting these small wins but it's not getting you over the hump to be able to have the impact that you want in the community, or if you're putting on events but you're not measuring what those events or those programs are doing, this live is for you. You want to take it from just being in motion, and you want to build that momentum. You want to have some momentum going. You want long-term strategy. So what I will say is you got to pause. You got to pause, even though this is second quarter, and this is a great time. So this is not a moment of failure. This is actually what every nonprofit should be doing. Whether you feel you're being successful or not, you should always pause, especially in second quarter, because first quarter is where you're now implementing new ideas, new programs, new services, right? A lot of these things are new that you're looking to do for the new year. So second quarter is a great time to assess, hey, how are we doing? So whether this is you or not, whether you're being successful or not, I don't want you to feel like, well, we're not doing good, that's why she's only talking to me. No, I'm talking to every nonprofit, but especially to the ones that are struggling. Second quarter is a great time for you to assess what you're doing. So you got to pause for a moment and get real intentional. Okay. So I'm going to give you a couple of things to think about, because what I will tell you is activity does not equal advancement, right? Just because you're being active and you got things going on doesn't mean activity equals advancement. Passion, and I'll tell you this, doing nonprofit for 15 years, passion does not replace structure. And you have a lot, especially grassroots nonprofits, you have a lot of founders that are very passionate. And you do need passion in order, because nonprofit is not easy work. So you do need passion to be able to do this level of work and to be in the nonprofit sector. However, passion does not create structure. Passion is what you need to keep going. Passion is what you need for people to be able to hear the story, to understand why this is important for to support. However, it does not create the internal infrastructure that's going to make this long lasting, that this is going to be sustainable. Passion alone is not enough, right? And lastly, survival mode never builds sustainability. Being in survival mode never builds sustainability. And a lot of nonprofit founders, especially those grassroots ones, you're in survival mode. You are one donation away from not being in service anymore, not being able to do your programs anymore. You have no fundraising account. You have no operational money. You don't have money to run your programs. So you're literally off and on, off and on, off and on, because you're just winging it. You're winging it. Whoever's going to give money, either we can put the program or we can't. So you're just in survival mode, and that is not going to bring you long sustainability. So what can you do in order to get from motion to momentum? The first thing that you got to do is, if you're not doing this already, you should be having, at minimum, an annual strategic meeting with your board. That means every year you are having a strategy meeting. So strategy means intention. You have a plan. You're going to implement this plan. So this takes you out of winging things and now making you very intentional and having that calendar of events, being intentional about how many programs are you putting on a year? How many fundraisers are we going to put on a year? What grants are we going? What's our budget? So you're no longer in survival mode. How much money do we need and how are we going to get it? Strategy to be able to do that. And that annual meeting allows you to assess, how did we do last year? Did we meet our goal? Were we short? How short were we? Or did we exceed our goals? Right? This allows you to see in real time the impact that you're making, not just money wise, but from your programs. What was the impact, right? So it's not just about putting on an event and saying, wow, that was a great event. No, it's what was the impact from that event? What was the impact from that program? What are the people that are coming to us? Are they the fulfillment of the mission? Now you're able to assess that from a yearly basis. At minimum, you should be doing that. And then every quarter, you should be assessing, How close are we to our annual goal? How are we on our annual goal? Actually assessing what's working, what's not working. Because what you don't want to do, if something is not working, you don't want to wait until the end of the year to find out, yeah, we probably should have scrapped that. We probably shouldn't be doing that anymore. That's not when you want to find out. So quarterly, and that's why I said on the onset, whether you're successful at what you're doing or you're struggling, quarterly assessments are really important, because it allows you to assess what's working. And it doesn't mean you need to scrap something. You may need to tweak it. You may need to tweak your marketing strategy. You may need to tweak, you know, who you're going after. Is the whole board involved in getting the word out and spreading and being an ambassador for the mission? So these are different things that you'll need to assess on a quarterly basis, right? So a quarterly basis allows you to do just that, see what's working and what's not. And more importantly, because this is what grant funders want, this is a grant writer's dream. If they're writing a grant for your organization, measuring the impact. So if you're putting on a program, if you have 20 people, 25 people, 30 people in this program, out of the 30 people that are in the program, how are they doing since the program? What was the impact? What transformation happened? What change, what positive change happened with that individual or with that family, depending on who your organization services? What was the positive impact that it had on that 30? What's the percentage of, positive impact as it relates to how many people attended your program? These are all important things, because even if it's small wins, as far as not that was a great event or that was a great program, it's no, we're measuring it not based on quantity of people, but what was the quality of what happened with those people. So grant writers love this information because it allows them to be able to tell a story. It allows them to be able to tell the grant funder, hey, this is a program worth funding. We had 30 people, and out of those 30 people, 20 people out of that program were positively impacted in this and this and this way. That translates to a grant funder, a corporate sponsor, or even a foundation. That translates to them, if wow, that was huge. If we give them money, they're able to have that same impact with just a larger number of people. So if they could do what they did with 30 people, imagine what they could do with 60 people. They just need the funding to be able to do it. So they want that success story. They want that impact story. They want the data from your organization. And you can only provide that data if you are keeping score, if you are assessing what's working and what's not, and making changes in real time to have real effects, positive effects within your community. So if this is where you're struggling, you may need to pause. You may need to pause for a moment. Doesn't mean you're going anywhere, but you may need to pause at your next board meeting and say, hey, let's have this quarterly assessment right now, see what's working, what's not. And let's get really intentional about how we are going to be impactful in our community, so that way we're not just putting on programs and doing this hamster wheel, but not getting where we want to go and not getting the funding that we need to continue. If you're struggling in this area, as I mentioned earlier, I am the founder of Utopian Enterprise Business Solutions, and I'm a nonprofit strategist. I can help you to actually strategize what's working and what's not working, and help you to be able to say how we can tweak some things, or this is just really something we should no longer put effort into. So that way you can put your energy and effort into things that are really going to move your organization and make the impact that you want. So if you are interested in that, let me put my website here, so that way you can visit my website. And you can see what services we offer. I do one-on-ones with founders just like yourself to be able to see what's working for you. And then you can also email me if you like, and I'll leave my email address here as well. So this is about getting really intentional in second quarter to be able to make the impact that you want to make. So that's what I wanted to share with you here this morning on Mission Minded Monday, getting from motion to momentum and doing that assessment. And I can help you with that assessment as well. So enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your week, be intentional, and more importantly, be impactful. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for another impactful Mission Minded Monday to help you strategize to be able to fulfill your mission in real time.